Welcome, welcome. This is a way for us to present your work and to talk about the upcoming workshops on AI upgrade that you're going to be hosting online starting this Saturday. And also to talk a little bit about your perspectives on AI and how we can balance our, you know, understanding of this technology. And also, I'd like to hear a little bit about your cooperation on the AI hackathon that will be happening in real life in Lisbon on the 8th and 9th of March. So, welcome. The stage is yours, Megan, and happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, it's super exciting. There are a few exciting events coming up here, both virtually and physically. So virtually, coming up this Saturday, like you mentioned, are 3 workshops on AI called AI Upgrade. They're every Saturday. They're recorded, so no worries about timing, but I will have the link and everything to sign up in the description box. So 3 workshops, one on writing with ChatGPT, the second is on visuals with Midjourney, and the third is on AI automations with Make. And the idea here is to just lay a very solid foundation in getting started with AI and setting yourself up for success in the long journey of AI. And then after that, in March 8th and 9th, I'm co-hosting a hackathon for women using AI no-code tools. Both of these I'll have links in the description with discount codes. If you are attending the hackathon, the 3rd workshop of the series is actually free because it will prepare you for the hackathon on AI automations. So I wanted to just kind of give a short talk on my perspective on AI and how I approach it, but also some context and history of how it works. The workshop series and the hackathon that are coming up are very practical. But in the past, for example, I've taught maybe 50 workshops on AI. At least half of them were theory based. So I would explain the mechanics of how different modalities of AI works, and also the history, the ethics, the challenges. There would be debates, and I would just kind of see it as my job as an AI researcher to present as many perspectives as possible, and your job to figure out where you stand with each one. And I just tried to create space to help you figure out where you stand with these things, so we can learn where do we want to integrate AI, where do we want to have a boundary. I am a big AI fan and enthusiast, but I don't think AI should be used for everything all the time, and that it's about a balance. So I will just jump right in. Let me know when you can see my screen. There we go.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the workshop series called AI Upgrade. You can scan the QR code or check out the description below. It's an Eventbrite event. Again, February 8th, 15th, and 22nd. It should be really cool. Everything will be recorded. There'll be tons of resources, libraries of prompts, libraries of different templates to automate your work, different chatbots for different use cases. So it'll be loaded with resources. So I'll just jump right into the history and the context and why this is important. Well, AI is a general purpose technology. It is pretty important. If we look at other general purpose technology, we can kind of see the weight of AI. I mean, it's all of these technologies, of course, build on each other, and there will be many more after AI thanks to AI. But we need to really understand the gravity of it. I mean, all of these technologies, electricity, the home computer, these completely changed work as we know it, our relationships, everything. So we really need to carve out the time to figure out um, where we stand on things and be intentional with how we integrate it. So I kind of like to give these examples of what is AI, so you can kind of get, different perspectives to the same thing. So I have a quote here from the CEO of DeepMind. AI is computer systems that turn information and data into knowledge. So the idea here is that AI can take a vast amount of data, way more than you could ever understand or consume in a lifetime, and be able to look at it in the matter of seconds. Thanks to AI, it can kind of show you an overall pattern, and you can find the points of interest and zoom into there. And this just makes things much more efficient, kind of gives you a superpower. Margaret Biden, a cognitive scientist and AI historian, says that AI seeks to make computers do the sorts of things that minds can do. I think if you think about it in this context, it's super helpful to understand why, like, what we're striving for here. And Alan Turing said a computer would deserve to be called intelligent if it could deceive a human into believing that it was human. You've probably heard of the Turing test. This was a way to test what is passable to be a human when it's really a machine. And here's just the overall landscape of AI. The AI that we talk a lot about today is actually generative AI or Gen AI. When we talk about ChatGPT and other things like that, we're talking about large language models, which is a type of generative AI. But the thing is that AI has been around for quite a while, and you've been using it quite a lot with social media. This is using AI to rank what they think you will like to see and spend more time on their sites, or using Google Translator or Maps or Alexa. These are all types of AIs. The difference here, how we got from AI to machine learning, and machine learning to neural networks and deep learning and generative AI, is something called transformers. This is a type of architecture that can understand the context of the data. It's not just, for example, predicting the next word, it's understanding the context, all of the data networks that would create a higher probability for the next word. For example, here, AI or ChatGPT is always just predicting the next word, but it is using context thanks to the transformer. And I think this really is important to understand that each text is assigned a token ID. So, for example, the color red is 2266. A period is 13. This is important to know because it not only is just predicting the next word based off of what is statistically probable in these strings of numbers. It is important to know that, like, on the user side, we're seeing words and ideas that make sense to us, but on the machine side, it's a bunch of ones and zeros. So this is important to know. So don't fall in love with AI because it's all math.
You can fall in
Um,
love, but you don't have to be attached.
yeah, you can, right. You can fall in love, but yeah, just be careful projecting too much onto it. So that was text, which we'll be exploring on a very practical level this Saturday. The next week we'll be digging into visuals with Midjourney, and a lot of this will also be about prompting. So if you do take the first workshop, it is very helpful for the second workshop, although not required. It will give you a lot more context for how to prompt well. So for example, I could have just said, I need a green triangle, and you would get something very mediocre, very generic. But if I give it more context so that the, the, the prompts you use starts carving a line in the network of data, it will create something much more complex, much more dimensional, and much more interesting, like this metallic cone here. And then for the third workshop, we'll be exploring AI automations, and this is using no code uh, operations. So an example of this could be, you get an email, it responds to it automatically based off of your parameters, and then you don't have to spend half an hour trying to come up with the perfect email, and you can keep your projects rolling. But so it's taking a SaaS product, using an API from like OpenAI in this case, and using a no-code tool like Make, which we'll focus on in the third week, and using ChatGPT to then generate content to use in the SaaS program.
This is the
The next thing I really wanted to talk about was, I guess, my philosophy and perspective around integrating AI is more about balancing technology with humanity. I think one without the other is tricky. I mean, technology without humanity is bad. Humanity without technology is tricky when, many people do have that technology. So we really want to be realistic about the landscape we're in. But nonetheless, so we need to invest equally in technology and humanity. I think with the rise of AI, we'll become much more aware of how valuable our humanity is. It's been funny because we've thought that if we are just more robotic in how we perform, if we can consistently produce the same thing over and over, that we'll become more successful, more respectable. If we can speak in this very, professional way, that we will be more employable. But now we're finding that with AI being able to do all of that, that now we can see that we really shine in things where AI can't implement. We have irreplaceable human skills that are innate, that AI is limited to. For example, AI can't think, it can't feel, it doesn't have hunches, it doesn't have intuition, it can't imagine outside of the data and the connections it makes and the parameters it's set with. And most of all, it doesn't care. It's just doing what it's told to do. So that is very limited, right? So we can imagine, which is amazing. We can think of things that have never been thought. We can have critical thinking, intuition, judgment, and we can have emotional connection. I joke that AI has never had a mom or will ever give birth. Like actually with organs. But these are things that are super valuable that we haven't really come to terms with how valuable it is, because this gives a way of creativity and possibility that's not available for machines. But I will die on this hill that AI is super valuable as well and can really help us in achieving our goals. I believe it reduces the creative execution gap. And this to me is very important as a creative person who can get overwhelmed by all of the possibilities and all of the hurdles and skills and things that I would need to do my vision. AI can help keep the ball rolling, whether it's being like a brainstorming partner that can take my mess of thoughts and start to organize it and create a direction and a plan and even action, do tasks for me that I don't enjoy doing that would stop me from actually doing the thing. But I also think that this kind of balances things out with accessibility. So maybe I don't need to um, have a privileged education in very specific topics to be able to execute my idea. Maybe I don't need access to this very wealthy person letting me use their studio, for example, to, produce my work or my music. I can start to piece together um, using AI, um, the resources I need to execute on my idea, which I think is amazing, and I can't wait to see how this changes the future, where more people who have something to express inside of them but never had the resources to show it. Um, Really excited to see what people start creating with AI. So this workshop, like I said, I've taught about 50 workshops on AI. This workshop is three that I think are foundational in setting yourself up so that you can execute your ideas quickly, efficiently, but also better. Because yeah, it's like, again, like having someone to pass the ball to all the time to keep your idea going. So something that could have been, years of just, thinking or getting stuck in certain points, I can now quickly show, an idea, a prototype. I can put it out there. I can fail forward. I'm not just stuck with the idea. And again, like, this is kind of foundational. As these technologies evolve, you can build on this information. I'm not teaching it like, oh, first you do this, then you do that. No, I'm teaching you how to really think with AI, how to approach it, how to collaborate. So these qualities of the future, these skills of the future can grow with you, and you will be set on a good path to really work with, this disruptive, amazing, scary technology that can make your dreams, your visions come true like never before.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'm in. I will be attending the workshop, and I really hope that everyone who's watching this is inspired by Megan's knowledge and understanding of what it can bring to us if we know the basics. And I wanted to ask you, Megan, what inspired you to get yourself into this space? How did you start? Anything personally you'd like to share? Would be curious to hear.
Yeah. So I was already kind of in this space slowly. Like when I was younger, I was always very techie for my age. I was always, super curious and interested and excited about technology. I think it was when I was 12, I won an award for my speech on what I wanted to be when I grew up. It was being an inventor.
Yes.
So I was really interested in that, and with my design background, actually, I went into computational design. So I started off with like craftsmanship and integrating technology into those spaces. So if I was at a design firm, I was the one presenting the latest technology and integrating it there. I joined a wood shop hired solely so that I could integrate their new CNC machine. So this was like a traditional wood shop in the Midwest, in the middle of America, in the middle of the United States, where they built everything by hand and used ancient joinery. And I came in integrating this ginormous CNC, and I would take their old way of their ancient way of building furniture and interior architecture. And I would create digital renderings that they would build off of, but I would also um, use I would use machine learning to generate G code that would then be used by the CNC to cut out parts like of the furniture, for example, and then they would use my computer drawings to illustrate how to assemble it. So, anyways, I've always been using technology to you know, bridge the old and the new. And I'm like super fascinated about actually preserving the history and the lineage. And like, I'm obsessed with ancient joinery and just like being able to figure out how do I digitize it without it losing its beauty was super interesting for me. And how do I, you know, computationally design these things where they are assembled in the ways that they find respectable and can last for generations. So yeah, I was already there, and I started then doing remote work where I would design for other people's and program for other people's CNCs and other digital fabrication tools and other renderings. So I would do renderings for architects, and I would use virtual reality to do walkthroughs of the space so we could design it together. So I was always trying to figure out how I could integrate like the latest in technology. And even in those virtual reality experiences, I was trying to figure out how to make them interactive. So, you know, they would do something, something would change. How can we like actually design the space and it change in front of you? How can we talk about this wallpaper and it generates? I was trying to figure out that. This is before generative AI exploded, like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like trying to figure this stuff out. Um, and so I was in those chat rooms, I was in those communities of all of us trying to figure it out. So the moment that generative AI started to really pick up, we were all right there hungry for it. And so I was like early access on like everything. And
Nice.
I was tearing it up and trying to figure it out and obsessed for most of the days and most of the hours of the day and for days, for months, for years, maybe now. Just absolutely obsessed with AI and generative AI. So yeah, in short, short, the short bit is I'm a nerd, and yeah, so that's how we're here.
Well, how do you use the tools that you're teaching now these days? What do you automate? Can you share some of your practices?
Yeah, so a ton. So in these workshops that I've taught, I've now reached over 100 different tools that I've taught.
Wow.
So if you're ever curious about what tool to use, I got you. Um, yeah, so many tools. I would say right now, because I'm doing this workshop series, I'm totally immersed in how to get the most out of it, how to be on like a pro level. So I'm very deep right now uh, in OpenAI, in Midjourney, in Make. I mean, I'm just like super focused on those right now, but of course, I'm using a ton of other things. Um, of different tools depending on what I'm doing. There are like I have a very big digital toolbox that I can pull from. But yeah, so with ChatGPT, I have a huge library of different custom GPTs that I've created based off of different things and different clients that I can just go to, and it's all synced up with what to think about, what to consider. With Midjourney, I have a library of different styles that I've fine tuned and created that I can use. And so I can create an image like I'm thinking of something because I'm still like doing some creative projects so I can quickly like be talking to someone, explain my idea, and generate the image right then and there and be like, this is what I'm talking about. So it's just like a very handy tool to be knowledgeable in how to get the results you want. And then I automate. So I automate different tasks for with all of these different tools. My overall idea is that as a creative person and an entrepreneur, I can just like wake up in the morning and just spit out what's on my heart, what's on my mind, what am I trying to do, and then have AI, organize that and then automatically shoot out content in the correct format for every platform, um, to make my project happen, to communicate with the world what I'm working on, and this be a way to generate leads for more projects and to build a community where I can pass the ball and build things together. So yeah, so it's a ton of tools, but these three that I'm talking about covers a lot. And if everyone had these three figured out, they would be dangerous for sure.
Dangerous. Okay, let's go.
In a good way.
Last questions before we part for now. We're in 2035, 10 years ahead. How do you see the AI developed, and how do you see yourself? What are you proud of with these changes?
Yeah, I think for me, I see AI as a way to be online without being online. And will make it so that as an entrepreneur, as a creative, I'm very relevant online while touching grass and eating, a lunch picnic with my friends. I can I can have the privilege of being in nature and connected with my community, because I'm using technology to do the things that aren't aligned with my humanity.
Yeah.
But still functioning in the world.
Yeah, I share that vision with you. Awesome. Good luck with the upcoming workshops and the hackathon. I think maybe we'll do another recording about the hackathon. And thank you for doing this work. This is very important. Thank you, Megan.